866-5555. Jacksonville.
Trevor fires for the back of the end zone, and that ball is going to be caught for the touchdown by Brian Thomas Jr. What a throw and catch. He tiptoed along the end line. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Fires deep downfield. Got a man. That's Brian Thomas Jr. 50 in the Colts territory. 35, 30, 25, 10, 5. Touchdown, Brian Thomas Jr. Just went 85 yards.
He's a playmaker. That's what stands out to me. It's just not one thing. We all know he's fast. You know, I can't really point to his releases. Can't really point to how he comes out of his routes. He just makes plays.
Looking, steps up, fires to the back of the end zone. Brian Thomas Jr. Did he double catch it? Yes, it is. Touchdown. He bobbled it, but hung on. Brian Thomas Jr. has the score, and Jacksonville is taking the lead.
Yeah, he's only going to get better once he masters his craft as far as his stance off the line and as far as come off the ball. You'll see in games to come, he'll get better. And even next year, he's going to be even that much better than he is right now. Right now, he's just getting his feet wet and showing us what he can do. So I'm looking for this guy to be a big-time playmaker for us in the years to come, and I'm glad to have him part of the Jaguars.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
You know, one of the things about the guys like Jimmy, Dylan, and, you know, we have the opportunity to talk to Fred and some of these guys every now and then from those early teams, including Tommy, who comes in with us every Friday. They keep waiting on somebody to have some kind of consistent run to make us stop talking about those teams. Right? Like, they all want an excuse for us to not have to constantly throw back to those years in Jaguars history. You hear it right there in Jimmy's voice, just talking about Brian Thomas Jr., right? And the idea of they finally got somebody that'll be wearing this uniform that has a chance, potentially, to match what Jimmy did. We need it for another 12 or 13 years before we were really talking about Brian Thomas Jr. being Jimmy Smith, but at least the guy that's going to be wearing this uniform that has a chance to do something like that for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Welcome in, everybody. Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you. Mike Dempsey on assignment all week. He'll be back with us next Monday. Next Wednesday, I believe, we'll be out at training camp. So we are right on the edge of being out at training camp for the Jacksonville Jaguars, getting started next week. Already some chaos when it comes to camps opening this weekend. The rookies I saw reported for the Chargers because I believe they're playing in the Hall of Fame game.
Yep.
And that's just a few weeks away, I guess, at this point. But they reported, and I think it's 30 of the 32 second-round picks still haven't signed.
Yep.
It is wild, but their second-round pick obviously would be included in that list. I think it's 33 and 34. So the first two picks of the round have signed. Nobody beyond that has something with the guaranteed money that's in those contracts. Who knows? They're all fighting for whatever they're fighting for. The Jaguars traded out of the second round this year, so it's not an issue for the Jaguars here in 2025 when it seems to be a league issue, so maybe they dodged a little bit of something there. We will be checking in with D-Rock in the second hour of the program this morning. We are giving him time today to get his honey in before we can chat with him. Donovan Darius scheduled to join us on the phone in the next segment. Here this morning, we always have time for Double D here on the show. What did I miss last week, Dylan? Anything happened?
Oh, my goodness. The ESPN rankings of a couple position players, and I think that's about it, according to the new news. Yeah, I mean, you know what it is. Everybody's out. They're, just hoping. You're crossing your fingers. I know when we get some trouble with that, we've seen that over the weekend. Mm-hmm. None of our guys have had issues with that so far, so hopefully that stays the same. But, yeah, you didn't miss nothing around here.
Yeah, this time of year, they're all working out together in X location. It's like, good. That's the only story I want to see about the team here for the next few weeks. And to this point, that has been the only kind of stories you hear is Trevor and the boys making a road trip of it, right? And getting everybody together to work out a little bit. You mentioned ESPN is doing they do this every year. I think this is the 6th or 7th year in a row. They've done their top 10 lists where they have their experts submit their list of top 10s at different positions. And they started it sometime last week. And they've now done 9 of the 12 position groups that they're going to be putting out, including this morning they put out quarterbacks. And to kill all the drama, no, Trevor Lawrence was not listed in the top 10. Trevor Lawrence was not listed in the honorable mentions, meaning that nobody that turned in a top 10 list of their quarterback rankings had Trevor Lawrence in their top 10. Nowhere in there, which, you know, if people want to use that as some kind of fuel, you're right, potentially for Trevor Lawrence this year. If you think you believe in that kind of thing, fine. You know, you can look at it that way. I don't think it's all that big of a surprise that a limited number of people would be putting together a top 10 list and wouldn't have Trevor Lawrence listed anywhere, right? Among that top 10, that's not all that big a surprise. Although, you know, when guys like Kyler Murray are getting a vote, you know, that kind of thing, it's like, well, we can have the discussion about whether Trevor Lawrence deserves to be on a list higher than Kyler Murray, right? If you're putting those kind of things together. But odds are a lot of those guys in the also-rans on that kind of list, they're guys that are getting votes at 9 and 10, so it's nothing to get all that upset about. I think Trevor Lawrence has the opportunity to play himself into being on this kind of list next year. We'll see what the offense is going to look like this season. That feeds into our question of the day today. We're from Chad and Sandy Real Estate, where we're asking which of these players on the Jaguars offense is most likely to have a breakout season in 2025. Trevor Lawrence is one of your options, along with running back Tank Bigsby, tight end Brenton Strange, and wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. And obviously for all 4 of those players, breakout is defined based on what they have done to this point in their career, right? So it's a breakout season compared to what they've done to this point in their career. So the bars for Brian Thomas Jr., for instance, that's the highest bar among the 4 for what a breakout season would actually look like, right? Given what he did in his rookie year. Not that you don't think that he can have a back-to-back breakout seasons. He's a player that is talented enough that maybe you believe that kind of thing is in the cards for Brian Thomas Jr. this year, which is why I include him in the poll. Trevor Lawrence hasn't had a monster season yet, but he's had a good one. You know, in 2022, he's had a good one. So it would have to be whatever that bar is for great happening in 2025. Brenton Strange and Tank Bigsby kind of on the bottom end of that kind of thing as far as what they've done to this point in their career and what a breakout could potentially look like for those guys. We'll discuss that as we go throughout the show today. And, you know, we'll give our opinion as we go as well. We mentioned the ESPN top 10 list. Not a whole lot of Jaguars getting a whole lot of love anywhere to this point. And with 9 of the 12 position groups now in, with quarterback coming out this morning, they've had 2 players listed on the first 9 lists of top 10s. And it is, if you knew the position groups going through them, you would guess which position group might have a chance to have a guy mentioned. And the one position group where you would think one of the guys is going to get mentioned, if not both, that's where they got both. Right? When the edge rush rankings came out, Josh Hines-Allen was at 15. Trayvon Walker was at 18. That's it. That's the only love the Jaguars have gotten on those lists to this point. They are doing off-ball linebacker tomorrow. I'm curious, not that I expect necessarily that Foye or Devin Lloyd would get a vote, right, in tomorrow's list, but I think there's at least the off chance that either of them could. Right, but it's not necessarily that I expect that either of them will. So that'll be interesting to see if they do show up on that list tomorrow, either one of those guys, and how their perception is received across the league. That's a better idea of how they're seen outside of Jacksonville. The Devin Lloyd one is funny to me because I think there's actually a chance that he could get a vote on that kind of list.
That'll be wild if he does.
And here in Jacksonville, we'd all go, what?
Yeah.
Right, but there's been several occasions where lists with these kind of things have come out and Devin Lloyd's been listed. And you're going, what?
That's one of those things where if Devin Lloyd is on that list as an honorable mention, that's probably solely because he's highly ranked on PFF.
Right. You're right. The PFF grading likes him. I can't explain it. Right? Like so I'm curious to see if he does land on that list. Foyer's been a guy that you would expect to have him to have a spot on that kind of list here for the last couple of years. Right? So does that get him at least in people's minds enough? But he did have the injury issue last year, so maybe that knocks him down out of the top 10 getting votes at all. We'll see. Again, off-ball linebacker coming out tomorrow. Wide receiver, those lists will be coming out on Wednesday. Really, the question is, how high on the list is Brian Thomas Jr. going to be? Right? That's really the question. I think I'd be upset if he's not somewhere in the top 10 on that kind of list, but I'd be stunned if he doesn't get a vote from somebody somewhere, right, to at least be mentioned on that list. And then corner on Thursday, and that feels like another one that's going to pass the Jaguars by. I don't see any of their guys getting a top 10 vote. I mean, Tyson Campbell would be the guy, and 2 years ago he would have gotten those votes. I guarantee you if we could go back, I can find that list from a couple of years ago, right after his second season, where he was being talked about as an emerging top 5 corner in the league. That's where the conversation was with Tyson Campbell in the last 2 years with the injury issues and everything else that's gone on. It's just hasn't quite caught on exactly where we thought it potentially could for Tyson Campbell. So we'll see if he lands on the list on Thursday when we get to that. Again, the Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day: which of these players on the Jags offense is most likely to have a breakout season in 2025? Your options today: Tank Bigsby, Trevor Lawrence, Brenton Strange, Brian Thomas Jr. We'll discuss that as we go throughout the show. Coming up next, though, Donovan Darius going to join us from location unknown, but he is kind enough to join us on the program next as we get things rolling along here on a new week on Monday here on Jaguars Today on 1010 XL.
Hey, everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. Boy, do we have some great sponsors here on Jaguars Today. I'm always happy to tell you about Pella because I chose Pella for my own home when I needed to replace my windows, even got the sliding glass door done. And, man, my house looks fantastic. It's more energy efficient as well. Consumer Reports will tell you Pella ranks #1 in all the major window categories. And right now, 0% financing for 60 months, 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Online, check them out at PellaJacks.com.
It's a Dreamfinders Homes Monday.
Official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
We got a great show for you today.
Join the 1010XL Podcast Network.
A big show.
Now you can find all your favorite 1010XL podcasts in your platform of choice.
A king-size show.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and Triumph has branched off from on-road to off-road. Give us the latest on what they've got.
They've got the 250 and the 450. Rick Carmichael designed these bikes himself, and they are bad to the bone.
So you're talking about a really cool effect from a bike off-road that Triumph had on-road forever.
It is, and it's out there winning races, and it is fun to ride.
Check it out, Cycles of Jacksonville, their showroom on Atlantic near Regency, or online on their Facebook page.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
Need protection? Call Craig and Christine Kaprosky at Goosehead Insurance. The Kaproskys are a husband and wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky at Goosehead.com.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios at 1010XL.
Hey, Jacksonville, need a fence and ready to save? At Superior Fence and Rail, you'll lock in 5% off your fence project when you sign by the end of July. A limited time offer for savings and peace of mind this summer. Now accepting appointments for a free estimate. So act fast and get 5% off your entire fence project when you finalize by July 31st. Cannot be combined with other offers. New contracts only.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com. Power bill just went up again? Why keep paying more? Clay Solar can wipe that electric bill out. Right now, they'll cover your first 6 months' payments. Visit claysolar.com today to schedule your free consultation. claysolar.com.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Instant Keys saves the day if you have lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call 722-1111.
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
The boys boys are back in the kitchen.
Don't start the barbecue without me.
Joe, Matt, and Leon give you plenty to chew on during lunchtime.
Freshly baked bread.
From the big #1 Duval Ford Studios.
Thank you for lunch, boys.
Noon to 2 weekdays on 1010XL.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Millard Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Millard Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Millard Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Millard Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you. Right now, get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month with autopay, plus taxes and fees. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy with just 1 cord and no technician needed, which is great if you're also into that whole keeping it simple thing. Switch now and experience the best mobile network in the U.S. Visit your local store to start saving. T-Mobile, it's better over here. Based on analysis by Ookla of speed test intelligence data Q4 2024 to Q1 2025, Ookla trademarks used under license. Unlimited on our network. Customers on voice plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reduction if using more than 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video streams and SD on this plan. Home internet pricing after $20 and monthly bill credit plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, buddy. Why so glum?
Stinky ice cubes, Jason. It's all downhill from here.
What?
The tap water at my place smells kind of funky. Funky tap water makes funky ice cubes. I meet a nice girl, invite her back to my place for a cocktail, and blow my whole romantic gesture with a mojito that smells like dog's feet.
Wait, I can totally make you way cooler.
I'm not taking your charity ice cubes, Jason. I have my pride.
Your pride is safe. Our plumbers can be at your house the day you call and install a whole home water purification system. Water tastes better, dishes come out cleaner, even your hair feels better after you shower.
Ooh, the ladies love a man with soft hair, don't they, Jason?
Life moves pretty fast. If you spend every day worried about the water in your own home, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Welcome in as we get this week rolling here on Jaguars Today. Let's say hello to a Jaguars legend. Donovan Darius joining us from parts unknown this morning. What's going on today, Donovan?
What's going on, Big Tone? I'm doing good, man. I'm up here in New Jersey, back home, back in South Jersey where I grew up.
Oh, nice.
Some family. Yes, sir.
Very nice. What do you got going on? I know you keep yourself busy, man. I know you're doing the vacation thing with the family right now, but you keep yourself busy. What do you have going on?
Yeah, so I'm still coaching, still in Jacksonville at Duval Charter High School in Bay Meadows over there with actually a couple of my former teammates, Aaron Beasley and Big Sofa. And so we're doing coaching. I'm still doing events, camps and programs with the foundation and with the sports training and speaking with organizations. So, just trying to keep myself a little bit busy here and there.
We we haven't had the chance to talk to you since all the draft fireworks with the team making the move to trade up for Travis Hunter. What are just your thoughts on a player trying to play significant snaps on both sides of the ball in the NFL?
I mean, I think it's great. I mean, you have what I feel is generational players that can actually do that, can make an impact in the game. I mean, you go back, you look at, none other, his coach, D.R. Sanders, was like that. The defensive guy, punt returner, special teamer, putting on offense, run plays. Charles Woodson was another guy who kind of did stuff like that. And so I think when you got somebody like that who can not only make an impact and is shown to make an impact on offense and make plays on defense, I mean, you got to take them. And so I was really happy when the Jaguars jumped up and grabbed him because, again, Jacksonville needed a spark. They needed to do something. I felt like they needed to do something to show that, hey, man, we mean business, and we want to really turn this thing around. We've been losing for so long, so let's try to get some winning pieces, here on the team just to try to make a spark and do something different.
Did you ever campaign for a few snaps on offense?
Only in high school, man. I was in high school. I was a receiver and a DB. I never left the field, but that was in high school. What he did in college is incredible. And at the same time, I don't believe that he'll be able to do that in the NFL because of how hard and challenging the NFL is and how much that'll take a toll on his body. But I do foresee him probably being part of either like the offense at more of a full-time basis and then some conventional defensive packages here or there, or vice versa, being part of a defense for a full game and then inserted into some offensive packages. But I don't see him doing both full-time at all. I mean, sometimes a coach got to save a player from himself. If you interview him, he'll say, hey, I'll do it all. But I think as a coach, you have to be able to save a player from himself and give him some unique opportunities to make plays.
I know, Donovan, we've talked with you a lot over the years about the mental prep that you would put in as a player, and you've told the stories about how that paid off. I can specifically mention you telling the story about picking off Peyton Manning that day just based on the way they lined up. You knew where the ball was going to be going. What do you think the biggest challenge for Hunter to try and do this two-way thing will be? Do you think it's more the physical or the mental barrier that would be more difficult for him to do it?
Well, I think every player going into a game will usually have their week prep that they usually do, their routine. And I think from a collegiate standpoint, he's shown over the last few years that he's able to prepare on offense and defense and make some key plays. And so whatever he's done, I think you just translate it to this level right here. Granted, there is a big difference between college and the professionals, but a lot of times your routine, your disciplines, your techniques, your fundamentals, your passion, your commitment, all those things, if you can maintain them and translate them over, they'll translate into you being able to make plays. And so where it is a different playbook on offense and defense, it's usually easier to be more prepared on defense, I believe, than it may be just on offense with the long play calls and all the adjustments. Because on defense, all it really is, for the most part, is line up, understand what is down and distance, what is the formation, and where's the ball going. And you can run there. But on offense, there's a whole lot of different things. And so what I did hear about coming out of camp with Travis is that he said it himself. Defense is a little more easier to pick up and flow, and in offense with all of his adjustments. So I think from a mental prep standpoint, because he's done it coming out of college and now he's trying to do it in the NFL, he has kind of, I guess, a formula that worked for him.
Yeah, and it explains, the plan they had for him during the offseason work that they had. They put him in offense first, right? And when the media was at least allowed to be out there, that's most of the time that we were out there. He was playing offense. They would get him a few defensive snaps towards the end of that time. But it makes sense given what you're talking about there, Donovan, with it's more to load in, right, on the offensive side as far as the adjustments and everything that are going to have to be made. Donovan Darius joining us here on the program for a few more minutes here. Looking back to last season, Donovan, what did you see as the biggest problem in the Jaguars secondary last year?
Man, well, they always say it always starts up front. I mean, that's a number one thing, which it does. And that's why those guys get paid the money they do, meaning the upfront guys, because if they can somehow create interruption in the quarterback and his timing and how he throws the ball or where he throws the ball, that helps because it allows the defensive backs to really anticipate, not guess, but anticipate where the quarterback's throwing the ball to be able to make plays. And so I think last year, us not being able to get any pressure on the quarterback as much and interrupt and get them off of their mark, like that was number one. Now, granted, I'm not just blaming the defensive lineman for what the DBs do, but on the back end, I thought our inability to really disrupt the receivers and be on top of the receivers and anticipate where they're throwing the ball, I think that hurt a lot. And so quarterbacks was just throwing the ball wherever they wanted. I mean, I think when they knew we were in man, it was almost like they knew what we were going to do. Offenses knew what we were going to do, and they attacked the weaknesses of our defense. Now, every defense has a weakness, okay? And some teams just attack the weakness of the defense. But what they did, I felt like teams were attacking our personnel. And they knew that some of our guys, whether it was our safeties was biting on things, meaning the quarterback's looking one way and the safety's moving, so the quarterback throws it the other way. Or our corners may have, bad technique after 10, 15 yards. They're getting stacked or they're weaving to the inside or the outside. So they just run routes based off of the personnel. Because at the end of the day of the NFL, whether it's high school, college, NFL, it's all about matchup. And so I felt like last year teams were able to match up better against us in our personnel standpoint than, which created them to have more, create more scores, more big points, more big plays. And as a whole, we just weren't as successful as we need, which led to us being around 31st in the NFL last year. And you can't win being 31 in the NFL. And that tells you a big story that on the back end, you guys aren't making enough plays.
We, Donovan, obviously they're changing GM and head coach this year, and that hasn't often been the case here in Jacksonville. This is really just the third time that it's been that much wholesale change, right? So you were here the first time that was going on when the franchise was adjusting from all that success and the early run for Tom Coughlin to the Jack Del Rio era. We're watching that kind of change happen again here in Jacksonville. What can you tell us about the adjustment as far as players that have been in that locker room from one style of doing it to a new style of doing it over the course of one offseason?
Well, I think a lot of times it comes down, first of all, to the coach that's coming in, right? And so when coaches come in, so when I first got there, Dick Duran was our defensive coordinator. And then we went to Don Capers, okay? And then we went to a bunch of other guys, Bob Mueller and a couple other guys. But I can remember transitioning from Coach Dick Duran to Don Capers, and the mentality of the players when Coach Capers came in was that you knew he had success wherever he went, okay? And so it's like bringing in somebody else on your team. Or let's say you're playing basketball and you pick up a guy. If you know that guy is that guy and he can score and he has success wherever he goes, then there's an optimism around that. And so I think in a situation where you're changing quarterback or you're changing coordinators, a new coordinator come in there, first of all, we're going to look at what has his success been or not has been. As an NFL player, you're coming together with all the tools. And now you're saying, okay, I want to use this tool on this plan. And so I think a lot of it, like if it was me, I'm looking at our defense coordinator. Okay, where does he come from? What has he done? How has players under his scheme done? And then I want to be able to insert myself into his system. That's number one. The coordinators have success. Then secondly, it comes down to now as the players, what are the strengths of the individual defensive players and how do they work within that scheme? Because you can bring a new scheme in, and if it's a scheme built to run blitzing and man-to-man coverage, if you don't have that personnel, then it's going to be really hard. no matter how much, they talk about how we're going to get after the quarterback. And so I think it's going to just be a matter of, the defense coordinators, the coordinators' ideas and what their past successes were and the strengths of what they do, and then how compatible and how well we can match up with our personnel. How well can they do the job that's asked of them to do? It all sounds good on paper in spring and summer, but it's about when we line up, how can we execute this at a high level? And so that's going to be the true test of how well the new shift of the regiment with the coordinators do, and how well we do going down the road during the season.
Summer will be turning into fall soon enough, Donovan. We know they're going to be out there for training camp starting next week. What would you be doing at this point in the process, knowing you were, 9, 10 days away, 2 weeks away from training camp getting started? What would you be doing to get ready?
Yeah, so one of the things that I've always done and always share with other guys, especially when they come in the league and whatnot, is that the NFL is a year of phases. And you have different phases in which you want to focus and do certain things that prepare you and help you maximize each one. So the phase, guys, that's just coming out is the offensive, the training camp phases and all that stuff. So the phase right now, right before you report their training camp, is huge. That's where it would be several of us guys, man. I remember it was Cardinal Lake, it was myself, Kevin Hardy, Stacey Mack, Albus Witt, all those guys. We used to go to the stadium during this time, and we used to have, a strong 2-hour workout that was built around, strength, conditioning, speed, agility. Like, we would try to get our body the most acclimated we can be with the weather, but then also with all the things that our body will be required to do when we went into training camp. And so although we had a lot of work on the spring and a lot of, camps and all that stuff, I think right now how a guy prepares himself as he goes into training camp is huge. Because now we get into training camp, you start to hit, everything is full speed, the heat and everything. It really matters how to give yourself kind of a launching pad into the kind of preseason football games and all that stuff. So right now it will be all about being acclimated to the weather. It'll be everything all acclimated to getting your body. We used to do a lot with sleds and resistance bands and speed and overspeed and all that stuff just to get our body acclimated to do any and everything that will be required of us in a couple of weeks when we report to camp.
Donovan, a couple of weeks ago, we included you in a poll with the team's best players at different spots on defense, asking which would you add in their prime for 1 year to the current team. You were the safety pick, as you are considered the best safety in franchise history. I would agree with that. How do you think your game would adapt to today's game in the NFL? Because that was certainly part of the discussion with you being in the poll. You played a brand of football that is frowned upon at times in today's NFL.
Well, I think, you're professional athletes because you are professional. And what that basically means is you adapt to whatever the situation requires. And I think although we grew up in a different area and we did certain things and how we finished the play, majority of 90% of what we did would still be the same. Our technique, our fundamentals, everything to be the same. The only difference would be how we finished the play. So if I used to finish the play with my forehead or my face mask being on the offensive player, hitting him and then bringing my arms and my shoulders, then right now it may be a little different. Now maybe my face mask may be towards the hip area, just a little lower. So 90% of the stuff I did, I would still read the same way I did. I would still backpedal. I would still get to the ball. I would still step my feet. I'll still drive my arms. I'll still attack and go through. But I'll just make contact at a different point on his body, And so I think for me, sure, I like the way that we did it before because it gave you a bigger hitting area. And for me, especially with the guys I looked up to, it allowed us to be enforcers and intimidators in a physical sport, But I think being a professional athlete, you would have to adjust. I'm honored by the opportunity to be, named one of the Jaguars' best safeties. But honestly, too, moving forward, I wish that there's other guys that beats me because they're doing so many great other things from there. But being a professional allows you to go out and say, okay, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do, adapt to it, and go out and be the best and make plays.
Well, I'm glad you still get to be around the game, Donovan, doing what you're doing over there at Duval Charter. So it's not like you're disconnected from the game of football. But I'm sure probably not training camp isn't what you miss, I would guess. But when it actually gets started with even preseason games, and once we get into the regular season, you may miss it a little bit. But at least you get to be around the game as much as you can be, right, with the Duval Charter thing going on.
No, I do. I really do. I've been fortunate and blessed, man, to be able to be around the game, whether it's coaching or doing sports camps with training high school kids, little league kids, whatever, or just high school players and collegiate. So it allows me to be a part of the game. It allows me to teach and take kids where they're at and take them what I would call to their next level, which is one step at least or two steps beyond where they're at now. And so I think it's a great thing to have achieved what we've achieved at the highest level. But then it's also probably an amazing thing for players who, like myself, have a heart and passion to try to break that stuff down to the next level and help build in kids and next level athletes. What does it take to be successful? What does it take to be, safe at this level and to maximize your opportunity? And so, we have a great time with it. It's fun. A lot of the coaches that I coach with, we don't coach to try to get guys just into the NFL. That's not the final goal. It's the next level. What is the next level that you need from where you're at now to where we want you to get you to go, to the next step? Because when you do that, you build your confidence, your self-esteem, your discipline, your commitment, all the things that happen in life a lot of times are built, which people don't understand, just through the fundamental disciplines of sport. And so that's why we do it. That's why we love it, and we enjoy it.
We don't hit targets we don't aim for, Donovan. That's just a fact of life. So keep getting the kids' aim in the right direction, my friend, as I know you're passionate about doing it all levels of this football thing. Appreciate your time this morning. Enjoy the time with the family, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again soon when the Jags get on the field here in a couple weeks.
Sounds good, boss.
All right, Donovan Darius joining us here on the program this morning from up in Jersey as he goes and visits the family. Mike DiRocco will join us a little bit later on the program here this morning. When we return, we'll take a look around the National Football League at some of the news going on elsewhere in the NFL and continue to talk Jaguars football, at least as well as we can here in the middle of July, as we are about a week away from training camp getting rolling. Our Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day today, asking which of these players on the Jags offense is most likely to have a breakout season this year. Tank Bigsby, Trevor Lawrence, Brenton Strange, or Brian Thomas Jr. We'll continue to discuss that throughout the show this morning as well as we continue along a Monday edition of Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Duval Ford over on Cassett Avenue. Look, whether you're a first-time car buyer or maybe you're a business owner with a fleet of vehicles, no dealership is going to take better care of you whether you're purchasing or maintaining your vehicles than Duval Ford. They've got a legacy that goes all the way back to when they were wholesaling cars from Henry Ford himself. It's a company you can trust with roots deep in Jacksonville. For over a century, big number one Duval Ford on Cassett Avenue. Check them out online at DuvalFord.com.
Can you crack the code?
I'm sending you the code.
1010XL. Isolating his radio.
925. The clock is ticking.
FM. Get all that?
Jaguars
Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
The dog days of summer are here, and so are the hottest deals of the year. Whether you're hauling down the street, cruising on the beach, or just escaping the heat, we have the ride you're looking for and the wow you experience you deserve. Save big on select models with sizzling summer savings, low financing, and limited time bonus cash on all trades. So don't sweat it. Come beat the heat at Beaver Automotive, where the summer deals will wow you.
Lucas Tree Service is a certified arborist and a local family-owned business with over 45 years of experience. They specialize in tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for both residential and commercial properties. Get prepared for storm season and receive top-notch customer service from Lucas Tree Service, 904-241-3533. Online at lucastreeservice.com.
As a law enforcement officer, safe roads are one of my top priorities, ensuring everyone can get home safely each day. Some never will, due to aggressive driving, being distracted, or speeding on the roads. And too often, that results in the toughest part of my job and the longest walk in my life. I'm so sorry. I have some very sad news to share with you.
9 people will be killed on our Florida roadways today. Don't let it be you or a person you love. Buckle up every trip, every time. Let's get everyone home safely. A message from Florida Department of Transportation, Target Zero. For more information, visit targetzerofl.com.
Jaguars Today.
It's a Dream Finders Homes Monday.
Since 1901, generations of skilled union workers have built the backbone of our community. Hospitals, schools, the buildings where you work. Every year, a new apprentice class of Local 234, plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC technicians is stepping up, trained, driven, and ready to do great things. They're not just building our city, they're building their future. Local 234, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit UA234.com to become a member or contractor today.
E to the T here, and Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find the scratch kitchen that comes through in the clutch every day, from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar. Come on, somebody.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental. With light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, 2 locations in Jacksonville.
If fishing is in your DNA, hop in the boat with Captain Kevin. It's the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show, brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss and Royal Pest Services.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwoods. In today's world of retail, how has a store like Underwoods stayed viable against the big national stores?
Frank, that's a question with a direct answer. At Underwoods, we've never aspired to be the biggest. What we've always tried to do is be the best. When you take this approach, there's some things that come to mind immediately, like fine quality merchandise bought by buyers that are experts, high levels of service delivered by a staff that are helpful and know what they're doing. Then there's some things that people don't really think about at all, like the finer a gem, the more rare it is. And these gems are not mass producible because they were made by God millions of years ago. Because of that, there just aren't enough of these for the big multi-store retailers to buy and put into their merchandising schemes. So at Underwoods, we buy these finer, rarer gems and create jewelry pieces that the people in Jacksonville expect out of us.
When you want the best, it's Underwoods. Underwood Jewelers in San Marco, in Avondale, and at the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. What's better than beer? Cold beer. Put your company logo on a custom koozie. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
The best value for golf in Jacksonville remains Cimarron. Totally reestablished with new tee boxes, improved fairways and greens. Also a brand new restaurant with indoor and outdoor settings and live music. Join the Wild One loyalty program online at Cimarron Golf. When's the last time you played Cimarron? Cimarron Golf Club on 210, the Wild One.
1010XL is excited to support an evening of all-star fun as comedian David Spade joins MC and Gator basketball great Patrick Young to induct Olympic swimmers Nancy Hogshead and Ryan Murphy, golf legend Jim Furyk, and the iconic Lizard King into the Sawyer Sports Foundation's Jacksonville Sports Hall of Fame, presented by the Nimnick family of dealerships. Saturday, July 26th at the Community First Igloo. For single ticket and table sponsorship, go to JacksonvilleIceman.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Want to talk a little bit about Trevor Lawrence not being on that top 10 quarterbacks list that ESPN put out already this morning, and we will dig into that here in just a moment. But before we do, Dylan, let's take a look around the rest of the National Football League.
Now, gems around the NFL, brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh announced his retirement after a 13-year career over the weekend. Suh was a 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro, selected by the Hall of Fame as a member of the 2010s All-Decade team. Cleveland still unsigned second-round pick running back Quinshon Judkins, who, by the way, was the player that the Browns took with the second-round pick that the Jaguars gave them in the deal to move up for Travis Hunter. He was arrested in Broward County on Saturday with a misdemeanor charge of touch or strike battery / domestic violence. The Browns have said that they are gathering information, and the league has released a statement saying that they are aware of the situation but declined any further comment. The Chargers opened their training camp on Wednesday, and their second-round pick, wide receiver Trey Harris, remains unsigned. The first 2 picks of the second round of this year's draft have signed their rookie contracts, but none of the other 30 second-round picks have signed their deals yet, as we are about a week away from training camp starting for the entire league. So we'll see how much of that gets resolved here over the course of the next 9 or 10 days. And Cardinals 3-time Pro Bowl offensive tackle Lewis Sharp passed away this weekend at the age of 65. Sharp spent his entire 13 years with the Cardinals, the first 6 in St. Louis, where he was a first-round pick by the St. Louis Cardinals in 1982, and the next 7 in Phoenix when the Cardinals relocated there. So that's a quick look around the National Football League. The ESPN put out there, as they continue to go through their list of top 10s at different positions across the league. They did quarterbacks this morning, and as I mentioned off the top of the show, Trevor Lawrence was not in the top 10. Trevor Lawrence was not an honorable mention. Trevor Lawrence did not get a vote in the article that ESPN put out this morning. To give you an idea of the players that did, it's not all that surprising, right? Like, if we were all going to be putting together our list of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, it's the top 4 are the top 4. It feels like at this point, right? It's the order that you want to put them in is kind of dealer's choice, I would say, right, Dylan? But beyond that is where it gets interesting, I think. But Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow.
That is correct.
Right.
Universal.
Put them, right. Like, put them in whatever order you want to put those 4 guys in. Some would probably have Lamar at the top. Some might have Josh at the top. You know, that kind of thing. It's whatever order you want to put those 4 guys in, but they are a tier of their own. It feels like at the quarterback position. The other 6 guys that they had in the top 10, Jaden Daniels at 5, which I don't think it's crazy based on what he did last year, but it is one of those where I can understand why he's at that point on these kind of lists, but y'all did the same kind of thing with C.J. Stroud, and he's not there, right? There's a reason that he's not in the top 10 directly after year number 2, kind of fell off a little bit after his rookie year where everyone thought he was going to be the next guy to join the 4 guys that we just mentioned. Didn't happen for him, so I leave the door open a little bit on what's going to happen in year 2 for Jaden Daniels, but I have no real issues with him being a 5 on this kind of list. Matthew Stafford, 6. Justin Herbert, 7. Jared Goff, Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield, rounding out the top 10, with C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love basically being mentioned at numbers 11 and 12. Among the other quarterbacks, now just guys, anyone who got a vote on anyone's top 10 list also gets mentioned. So here's the other guys that got votes. Again, keep in mind, Trevor Lawrence did not get any votes. Here are the other guys that also receive votes: Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, Tua Tagovailoa, and Bo Nix. Now, at what point on that list, Dylan, would you start considering where you would put in Trevor Lawrence? Say that is in order of vote.
I would have Trevor above Tua. There was another person you said on that list that was, I'd probably have him above Aaron Rodgers. I just think Aaron Rodgers is so limited now to what he can do. I mean, if we're talking about this season, I would have him above those 2. And then Kyler Murray, he's in that ballpark. Right. Everybody else, yeah, he's all those other guys you named that are not in the top 10, they're above Trevor, I would say. But Trevor above Tua is a head scratcher to me. Tua just can't. Tua can't stay healthy. Tua's limited to what he can do, and Tua has, I mean, all the resources, an offensive head coach, all the receivers, a decent running back, and, you know, you still don't have any playoff, berths or victories to support it.
Yeah, and I saw someone that was doing a write-up on Tua, and I think he had the quickest release in the NFL, like quickest time from snap to throw. When he was on the field, it was something like 2.2 seconds is what he averaged last year. So it's hard to tell how good or bad the Miami offensive line even was with how quick that offense ran through all the things that it was doing. But yeah, I think when you got the 10, I would even say if you wanted to start having the discussion, right, with Trevor Lawrence as far as when you might be considering him for a vote on this kind of list, if it was around 10, I don't think that's crazy, right? It's not where I would have him. I'm not saying that I have Trevor Lawrence at number 10 on this list and Baker Mayfield doesn't belong. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I think it would be around the neighborhood where you have Baker with C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love. Say you grouped all three of those guys together. I don't think any of them are clearly better, right, than Trevor Lawrence. But that makes sense once you're getting to the bottom of this kind of list. The names that are at this point on that kind of list flux in and out all the time, right? It's the nature of this kind of list is there's a new guy at 10 and he'll be out of it the next year. Like that kind of thing happens a lot. Tua certainly would have been in there. I feel like the year before with the kind of season he had 2 years ago. It's why guys like Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, Tua Tagovailoa, Bo Nix. Bo Nix, I'm curious to see where he can get to on a list like this. But it's the nature of these kinds of lists that the bottom 2 or 3 spots are going to in and out, right? It's the way that it works. I am still confident that Trevor Lawrence is a talented enough player that he can be back on this kind of list. I'm curious exactly what it's going to look like with Liam Cohen. I mean, Liam Cohen, in a lot of ways, is why I think Baker Mayfield is on this list, right? And how directly will Liam Cohen be able to lift Trevor Lawrence's game so that he can be a guy that's on this kind of list next year? And for all the Trevor Lawrence haters that are out there, they will continue to be driven crazy every time I mention Trevor, and don't just bash him. The whole time that I talk about him, it's acknowledging what I expect out of Trevor Lawrence and also acknowledging that we haven't seen it yet, right? Like we're all guessing at what it's going to be for him going into the future. I am surprised that he doesn't even get a vote, right? Like just not a vote over any of those guys. That's a little bit surprising to me. I don't expect that to be the way that it goes next year. In fact, I'd be pretty disappointed if we go through the entire 2025 season, if he's healthy throughout the entire 2025 season, and he's not a guy who's getting votes somewhere in this kind of article when it is released next year, but we'll see. There's a lot of ground that Trevor Lawrence obviously has to make up in a lot of people's minds. And I don't think it's crazy for people to have whatever opinion they have of Trevor Lawrence at this point in the process of his career, but we'll see what he can do to take advantage of all the newness around him here in the 2025 season. When we return, Mike DiRocco going to join us. He's somewhere covering the NFL, is what he told me. I asked him if he wanted to come in studio. He's like, I'm traveling. I'm like, okay, traveling for what? He's like, I'm covering something. I'm like, okay. So we'll ask him what he's covering, what he's got going on. Mike DiRocco going to join us next here on Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Locally owned and operated by the Thompson family since way back in 1956. Look, I've talked about Dandy and their fine products for a decade now, and I personally enjoyed them for a lot longer than that. Dandy's the perfect go-to when you're in a hurry and you don't want the hassle of a long wait. Whether it's a hearty Italian footlong, maybe a delicious chicken salad sandwich, you simply can't go wrong with Dandy. A pretty good value, too, compared to the drive-thru. Fast, fresh, always tasty, and waiting for you in the cold case at convenience stores all over town. As a matter of fact, next time you're on the west side, stop in at the Kickstart Food Store located at Commonwealth Avenue and 295. They have a great selection of Dandy sandwiches, enough to satisfy the heartiest appetite. If you're looking for a fresh, quality product, there's only one name you need to know in Duval. That's Dandy. Folks, when you're hungry, take my advice. Do what I do. Go out and make yours a Dandy. And do it today.
Jaguars Today. You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Superior products, exceptional service. The longer you listen,
I thought the play was exceptional.
The more you learn about your home team. We stay close to the Jags, so you can too. 1010XL.
Firehouse Subs has fries. Your hometown hero since '94 just cranked up the heat. Hot subs, crispy fries, golden, pillowy on the inside, and perfectly seasoned. Over 30 Jacksonville locations. Firehouse Subs, homegrown and now with fries.
Registration is now open for the Circle K Greater Jacksonville Kingfish Tournament. With over $450,000 in cash and prizes, fun starts on July 13th with the inaugural Kickoff Beach Tournament that has a $50,000 cash first place prize. There's also a junior offshore tournament and one for the lady anglers. Best of all, the winner of the General Offshore Tournament takes home a Contender 28T with twin Yamaha 200s. Register today at kingfishtournament.com.
Dreamfinders Homes, Monday.
On Jaguars Today.
Brackish Vodka, the spirit of the sportsman and proud partner of the Jaguars, wants to make your flight in and out of Jax a fun one. Stop by Vino Volo in the airport and enjoy 2 signature brackish cocktails. Vino Volo has amazing food and cocktails before your flight. Brackish Vodka is the first clean craft vodka and made right here in Jacksonville, Florida. Brackish Vodka for whatever your sport is. If your sport is flying, your vodka is Brackish, proud partner of the Jaguars.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Tired of high energy bills? Well, replace those inefficient windows and patio doors now. Don't miss Renewal by Anderson's summer sale. Buy 4 windows or doors and get the 5th one free. No money down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months, but this offer expires July 31st. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Frank Frangie here for Coil Fencing. Jacksonville is full of memorable sports moments. Remember Hal Sutton when he famously said, "Be the right club today"? Well, that's what Coil Fencing delivers. The right fence today. And they've been delivering the right fencing for both commercial and residential properties for nearly 100 years. If you're in the market for a new fence, call Coil & Sons today at 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com.
Right now, they're on their way to disrupt your life, make you uncomfortable, and rob you. Don't bother calling the police. They can't help. That's right. Summer heat and humidity are about to attack North Florida again. You know what to do. Call Mike Merritt. Mike Merritt's Heating and Air has a license to chill. When heat and humidity are attacking you, Mike Merritt provides a comfortable chill at a bargain price. Mike has been keeping North Florida comfortable for 30 years. Mike Merritt technicians are never paid commissions, meaning you'll never be pressured to buy something you don't need. And Mike Merritt knows cooling issues can arise anytime. They don't just happen during business hours. So Mike Merritt never charges overtime fees. When you need us, we're here for you. Remember, in the fight against heat and humidity, Mike Merritt has a license to chill. Visit merrittair.com. Florida license number CACO 50384.
Send your favorite person a sweet summer surprise today from Kuhn Flowers, creating memories for over 70 years. I'm RJ, and it's just so easy. Order online at kuhnflowers.com, Jacksonville, and Ponte Vedra.
Tired of wrestling with your shower curtain like it's a slip and slide gone wrong? Ditch the drama and say hello to a smooth, stylish glass shower enclosure from Baker Glass. Wago Glass is clean, elegant, and makes your bathroom look huge and brighter. Give your shower a makeover and feel like you're in a spa without the price tag. I'm Mac at Baker Glass. Call me and get ready to love your new shower. Let's make your shower great again. Remember, Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
This is your local sports update. I'm RJ Saunders for 1010XL. This update brought to you by JEA. Florida men's basketball is heading to Jacksonville to take on Miami on Sunday, November 16th. And the Jacksonville Hoop Showdown presented by the Jacksonville Sports Foundation. Tickets for the event are scheduled to go on sale on September 24th. Fans can register to receive the event information and be eligible for the ticket pre-sale access, which will take place on September 23rd. You can register online at arena.jacksevents.com. The Milwaukee Bucks are moving in a point guard option for the 2025-26 season. Shams Charania reporting that former Magic guard Cole Anthony is expected to sign a one-year deal with the Bucks ahead of his 6th NBA campaign. Right now, 86 degrees at 10:59. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Not gonna lie, it's hard for me to talk over Metallica. This is one of those bands for me. I don't know which of their songs I would pick as like my get hyped song. This would be pretty high on the list. Like, this is a universal, right? Obviously, Virginia Tech has their own way of using Enter Sandman, right up there. As we get ready for SEC Media Days, the college football season is upon us, and 1010XL will be at the SEC Media Days starting this afternoon with Matt Hayes and Frank Frangie making the trip up to Atlanta. Isn't it a bit of a disappointment that it's no longer in Alabama?
And Hoover.
Right, like Hoover. Like that. What else did we know about Hoover except they hosted the SEC Media Days?
And think about this. You got the All-Star game in Atlanta with the SEC Media Days at the same time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the city of Atlanta can, hold all that kind of stuff. But,
yeah.
I mean, that'd be nice to just, go to interview a coach and then mosey on over, see the Home Run Derby tonight and the All-Star game tomorrow. That'd be pretty good.
That'd be pretty cool. Franchi would be the one that I would bet on doing that if the option was available to him.
Yeah, the odds be in his favor.
Right. I don't know about Matt Hayes.
By a wide margin.
Right, like how he would feel about going and doing the Home Run Derby thing, how anyone feels about the Home Run Derby at this point. I'm not exactly sure as well. We're working to get Mike DiRocco, who's somewhere doing something for the National Football League. I'm not sure exactly what. But we'll ask him about that when we get him on here in just a couple minutes. But we will begin our SEC Media Days coverage today here on 1010XL. We proudly carry Florida athletics. You can hear Florida football and basketball and baseball here on the station all year long as we go through it. It's that time of year. This is truly that time of year, right? Here in everywhere really in the sports world, unless you're a big hyped up fan of the new Home Run Derby, right, with the new rules, which I kind of dig the new rules in the Home Run Derby, right, as opposed to the 10 outs that they used to do forever, and it felt like the event would take 18 hours, right, to do the Home Run Derby. I kind of enjoy the new rules for the Home Run Derby, the way that they do it. That's fun. I'll be watching tonight as Matt Olson tries to represent the Atlanta Braves. For that, we'll see how that goes for him tonight. It's hard to even remember that the All-Star game is in Atlanta. That's how bad the Braves baseball season is going. I just hadn't thought about it. The last couple of years, if it had been in Atlanta, it would have been 10 players from the Atlanta Braves are there. This year, there's going to be 2, 3 that'll wind up there for the All-Star game in general. But that's what you got here for the next couple of days. You got the Home Run Derby tonight. You got the All-Star game tomorrow for the handful of people out there who care about Major League Baseball at all, much less the All-Star game, right, when we get to that kind of thing. And then you have a day off on Wednesday. I believe it is. But I think the ESPYs are on Wednesday night. I guess that would be the big event on the sports calendar is the ESPYs. which would be hosted by Shane Gillis, which is the only reason that I even know what's happening this year is because I have some interest in watching Shane Gillis host the ESPYs. So that is the extent of my interest in what's going to be going on.
Yeah, the ESPYs has gotten so bad the last couple of years. I might watch the monologue on YouTube like after the fact, but since Shane's doing it this year, I'll be tuned in to watch it this year. So, so we'll see.
I saw him talking about the guys that are going to be helping write the jokes for it, right? And they wrote a bunch of jokes about him being fat, right? Shane Gillis was like, I can make those jokes myself, guys, right? Like, I can do that. You don't have to write those jokes for me, which is a very Shane Gillis way to react to any of that kind of thing, right? As we working on getting D-Rock here in just a moment as he's live from Parts Unknown here on 1010XL. As we have D-Rock now as we go out to the Checkmate Coatings hotline and say hello to Mike DiRocco somewhere for ESPN covering the National Football League. What's going on today, D-Rock?
Not much. How are you guys?
Doing well. Where are you?
I'm actually at the mothership in Bristol, Connecticut for NFL meetings this week. We've got like 3 days of meetings. So I'm at the lovely campus here in Bristol, Connecticut.
Very nice. How many times are they recording you for stuff they're going to use later?
That is TBA, I believe. I do have a couple of headshots that I have to get retaken, apparently. So that might be just the extent of it.
Right. Are you ready for camp, man? We're only a little over a week away. Are you ready for training camp for the Jaguars?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's I don't want to say like it was all meaningless before, but for sure it's different in OTAs and mini camp, and there's really nothing at stake. Well, now everything starts to become at stake right now, both for the players, for whoever. I mean, we talked in the spring about, boy, it's a big season for Trevor Lawrence to prove himself. Well, that starts next week, and I'm as excited for a training camp this year as I've been in a long time.
Where do you think the biggest battles will be when training camp opens up next week?
Yeah, obviously offensive line is something that we need to monitor for sure. I mean, we talked in the spring about Anton Harrison and him over at right tackle and Chuma Edoga. And then, we've all kind of thought that Wyatt Milam's going to be in play there at left guard with Ezra Cleveland. So those are sort of the places that I'll look at the most offensively. And then, that corner rotation and where Jarian Jones kind of fits in on that is going to kind of be where I spend, the bulk of my attention defensively in terms of position battles and stuff like that. How is that all going to work out? We just all assumed he was going to be a starter on the outside, and now obviously with Travis Hunter and Monteric Brown played really well in the spring, and that's going to complicate things. So, that I think is one that we really need to monitor all camp.
Do you feel like Travis Hunter has kind of become the plan that Bristol is putting in your face for how to cover this story as they do get into camp next week?
Yeah, Mike DiRocco, Travis Hunter beat writer at this point. Yeah, I mean, look, he's one of the biggest stories in the NFL, and it's been a long time since the Jaguars have had one of the biggest stories in the NFL, and it's it's great for Jags fans, it's great for me. It's there's nothing that kid does. Everything that kid does, there's interest in. If he spends 4 snaps in a practice on offense and the rest on defense, then, I might be able to squeeze a little story out of that. I mean, he's, people have called him, no one's played full-time offense defense since, 62? Chuck Bednarik. I mean, this is unprecedented, in the modern NFL. So it's going to be fantastic to watch.
And now you don't have to guess about what kind of snaps he was getting on the other side of the ball. It's going to be open, right? Like a training camp. You'll see it. How much he's playing each day. I'm going to have my
balls and strikes counter right there, man. Just click offense, click defense. It's going to be – it'll be fun to watch, man, and how they break it up and how he recovers and when and why they have him. I think it's going to be the bulk of conversations that we have about camp.
we've been discussing ESPN, put out their top 10 list. It was quarterbacks this morning that got released, and Trevor Lawrence didn't get a vote, even in the also-rans. Among the 17 or 18 quarterbacks that got a vote, somewhere Trevor Lawrence was not among that group. What should the expectation level be for Trevor going into this season?
Well, I think it starts off, number one, is staying healthy. The expectation is he plays all 17 games because it's been a while since we've seen that. That's the number one expectation. The number two expectation is run the offense effectively, efficiently, make the throws and the plays that are there, and essentially just the term game manager is not right, but that's the term that we all kind of have in our heads. Be a game manager from the standpoint of cutting down mistakes, getting the team in and out of the right play, making the right checks, making the right audibles, and generally running the offense the way it's meant to be run. He doesn't have to throw 41 touchdown passes like Baker Mayfield did last year. That'd be great for him, certainly, and great for the Jags offense, but be healthy and finally play consistently well over a season. He's had those stretches where he's played really well, that 22 to second part of 22, early part of 23, he played really, really well. He's got to do that over a season. That, to me, those things are the expectations that I have, and the Jaguars certainly have for him.
One more question here with you, D-Rock, and you mentioned offensive line off the top there among the things that you'll be keeping an eye on, especially when the pads go on here in a couple weeks out there at training camp. I think the Tuesday top 5 tomorrow is going to be centered around the offensive line, but I'll ask you specifically, looking at the team right now, who do you think is the team's best offensive lineman, and who do you think that will be when we get to the end of the season?
Ooh, that is a really good question. Ability-wise, it's probably, honestly, Anton Harrison. But who is the best in terms of who do I think is probably going to play the best right now? This year, Patrick McCarry. I just feel like he had a really good spring, and he's been really steady when he's been on the field. So I kind of feel like that's the guy that I would say right now is their best offensive lineman. Robert Hainsey, obviously lost his starting job last year in Tampa. But really, Anton Harrison has the most talent, I think, of anybody in that group, and he needs to be the guy by the end of the year that we're all going, boy, he had a great year. It certainly answered all the questions that we had after a disappointing year two. So I think that's the way it's going to shake out.
All right, D-Rock, enjoy the Bristol meetings, whatever's left of them up there. I'm sure we'll catch up with you at training camp next week, if not before. I expect that Dempsey and I will be out there for training camp starting on Wednesday next week. So enjoy the rest of your Travis Hunter vacation up there in Bristol.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right. That is Mike DiRocco, who covers the Jaguars for ESPN. Kind enough to join us for a few minutes from live up there in Bristol, Connecticut. Here this morning when we return, I saw an article from CBS Sports that they put out last week that was talking about the worst NFL coaching hires this century, right, which is most of the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars, obviously. So the only coaching hire they made in the previous century would be Tom Coughlin. That would be the list of coaches before this century for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And on that list of 25 coaches, there were a couple of Jaguars coaches on that list, including not a surprising one at number one as the worst NFL coaching hire of the last 25 years. You can probably guess who that might be. In fact,
I agree with Urban.
Yeah, I'm sure you might have screamed the name when I mentioned it, right? But we'll get into that a little bit as we continue along. This is a Monday edition of Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Everybody, Mike Dempsey here. Look, now is past time to get your roof hurricane ready. And the folks that can help you out are Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacksonville Beach. Our rainy season is no joke. Apex has your back. Local, dependable. They'll show up on time. They use only premium materials with ironclad warranties. No shortcuts, no stress. Apex just gives you quality work you can trust. Skip the storm season scramble. Reach for the peak. That's Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jacksonville Beach, online at apexroofingfl.com.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
We found the computer outlet, sir.
Plug in. 1010XL.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal conditions.
Want to support a locally and veteran-owned company? If you need a new AC, we should be your first and only call. Ideal Conditions keeps you cool. Just ask your AC. Call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjacks.com.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal conditions.
Idealconditionsjacks.com.
Life is just so busy this time of year. Between work, the kids' games, family vacations, I need a yard hero to free up my weekends.
You mean somebody who does mowing and trimming?
Yeah.
How about mosquito control?
Yeah.
What about irrigation and pet waste removal?
You do that too? You're my lawn hero.
Find your lawn hero at heroeslawn.care.com. Heroes Lawn Care, because every lawn needs a hero.
Storms don't wait, so why should you? Protect your home and your wallet with Universal Roof and Contracting. Save 15% on roof replacements and repairs now through July 31st. And financing is available with payments as low as $115. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roof and Contracting. Protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com. Jaguars Today Monday is built by Dream Finders Homes.
Official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey, Hickett here. Think you got the ugliest garage floor on the First Coast? Your garage a crack-stained, hot mess? Hold on to your squeegee. Checkmate Coatings is hunting for the worst garage floor out there. And the winner gets a free garage coating makeover. Whoa! Take 10 seconds. Snap a pic of that garage eyesore. Register at checkmatecoatings.com/contests for a chance to win a free floor coating. It's easy. Just snap a quick pic and enter for a chance to win at checkmatecoatings.com/contest. Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Tyson Sound & Security has a house built right inside their showroom, showcasing complete home automation and security systems. You have to see it to believe it. This setup can recognize intruders who approach your door and alerts them to leave if there's a break-in. Keep your family safe with the most state-of-the-art technology. Tyson Sound & Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. With the weather now hot as can be, look ahead and get that backyard ready for fall with a new open air or screened-in enclosure. Maximize the space you have and make it great with Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. They truly are the best in the business. So if you have the space and the idea, give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you.
Listening that fits your schedule perfectly. Absolutely brilliant.
Go on demand.
Ad-free shows after the live shows end. How about that? Channeled by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. Search where you find podcasts.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to itppartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
Hacker here, and I want to tell you one of my favorite things about Awaken 180 Weight Loss, and that's the personalized coaching that you get with Awaken 180. Now, a lot of weight loss programs, they'll give you some plan off their website, and they'll say, all right, have fun, see you later. Not Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Prime example of that, my Coach Kate. I've had phone calls with my Coach Kate over a year now, every single week. She's been advising me, she's been guiding me, she's been motivating me, and as a result of that, I'm down well over 100 pounds. I'm on the maintenance program now. The coaching you get with Awaken 180 helps you reach your goal. It is absolutely sensational, and it separates Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Do what I did. If it's time for you to lose weight like it was for me, go to awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com, or call 844-346-1800. Take it from me. If I can do it, you can do it. Get involved with Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
ET here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, you have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits. You have the right to choose your own doctor, too. And I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation, the auto accident experts.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
How many people in the history of music would have started a song that way? Right? Just some random noise like Prince does. There's only one of those guys. Only one. As we get into the last half-hour show of the program this morning, as we get a week rolling here on Jaguars Today, I do want to talk a little bit about the question of the day today, asking which of these players on the Jags offense is most likely to have a breakout season in 2025. Tank Bigsby, Trevor Lawrence, Britton Strange, and Brian Thomas Jr. Maybe spend some time here in this segment discussing what you and I, Dylan, may think a breakout season for each of those guys would look like before we give our answer on who we expect might be the most likely to have a breakout season for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll get into that here in just a moment. I mentioned going into the break that CBS Sports had put up their top 25 worst NFL coaching hires this century, right? And that the Jaguars showed up on that list twice, including at the top of the list with a name that is no surprise to anyone, I would hope, except those few people that are still mad that we won't call him by his proper name when we get to it. I think when you're hired and you are considered largely by the NFL community, not just Jacksonville, but by the entire NFL community, and that the reason for our joke about Coach Herb's name that we use here on the program, Urban Miller, is what we call him here, obviously. The reason we do that is because he couldn't get players' names right, and he's the worst coach in the last coaching hire in the last quarter century, right? Do you think we have pretty strong ground to stand on for continuing to get his name wrong on purpose?
I'm just sorry we're in this situation.
I bet you are, Herbs, from time to time. But I thought it was interesting going through that list, right, and seeing that among the coaches that the Jacksonville Jaguars have hired, actually going through a process, not the guys that have been interim coaches at the end of a year, right, like after a coach gets fired, not that kind of thing, but among the coaches that the Jags have gone through the process of trying to find the right guy, right, to hire as a head coach. With all the misery in Jacksonville Jaguars history, there are 8 coaches that have been hired, including Liam Cohen. Right now, he's the 8th head coach that they've gone through the process to go find their guy. Among the previous 7 before Liam Cohen, there are 3 that have not made the playoffs at least once, right, in their tenure as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, Tom Coughlin made the playoffs plenty. Jack Del Rio made the playoffs twice. Doug Marrone made the playoffs once. Doug Peterson made the playoffs once, right? In Jaguars history, the two of the other three coaches that I didn't mention there in that process are the two that were on this list. The other one, I certainly think you can probably make an argument for the third guy being on the list as far as just the worst hires in the last 25 years, but Mike Mularkey didn't quite make the cut for the worst 25 hires here in the last quarter century, but he would be the third name, the other two being Urban Miller and Gus Bradley. Gus Bradley, when his tenure ended here in Jacksonville, was on the list. He's got the worst head coaching record in NFL history. Right? Like, that's how bad it was with Gus here. And that's not, I like Gus. I still like Gus a lot. Right? He's a cool guy. I like Gus Bradley a whole heck of a lot. Certainly more than I like Urban. Right? Like, he's a whole lot more personable than Urban was, and Mike Mularkey for that matter, during the short time that he was here right before Gus got the job. Gus is a great guy, seems to be a pretty good defensive coach. Not the right man for a head coaching job, right, in the National Football League, as all things turned out. But I do think it's interesting that with all the misery and the basically 30-year history of the Jacksonville Jaguars, that so much of the misery is circled around a few names of guys. I didn't take the time to look at the other kind of miserable, right, organizations in the National Football League, the Cleveland Browns of the world, to see what these kind of lists would look like for them. Like, how many coaches have they had that were there for any period of time that never made the playoffs? Right? The Jags just don't have a long list of those guys. They only got 3 in franchise history. With all the down times that they've had, they still seem to pop up every now and then. We'll see what Liam Cohen can do to get them to pop up here sometime soon. For the Jaguars. Dylan, I mentioned that I want to talk about the question of the day with the 4 guys that we have mentioned as which of these is going to have a breakout season for the Jacksonville Jaguars and what exactly a breakout season would look like. So let's start at the top of the list on the poll here. Right, Tank Bigsby was the first name that I mentioned. His best season was last year. He had 168 carries for 766 yards and 7 touchdowns. What would he have to do this year for him to qualify as a breakout season in your mind?
Definitely over 1,000 yards rushing. I'd probably say closer to 1,100, and then I'd say 10 or 11 touchdowns will be a breakout season for Tank. All things considered, knowing going into the year that he's not, the one and only back that's going to get the bulk of the carries. Because we all expect it's going to be a running back by committee.
Sure.
So 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns, I think, would be a breakout season for Tank.
Yeah, I'd leave room for the space on that would be if it is like an 850-yard season, but he's a 13 or 14 touchdown scoring. I think that could qualify as a breakout, right, of sorts. That we're talking, but I do think it needs to be pushing probably that 1,000-yard mark. That's the more critical of the numbers, I think, for breakout. Right? Especially, and I keep going back to this when we talk about these things, Tampa just didn't try to run the ball down there. That's why Baker Mayfield's numbers are what Mayfield's numbers were. They threw the ball in that part of the field. I'm not saying that Liam Cohen is totally committed to that being the way he wants to run the offense here, but I think there's a chance that could be the way that things turn out. So I don't know how realistic. I think the odds are pretty low that the Jags have any running back score 10 touchdowns. Like, that seems like a really big number to me in my mind for any of the Jaguars running backs. But certainly if one of them did, I think that's getting to the breakout kind of range. Trevor Lawrence, his best season came in 2022. He threw for 4,113 yards, 25 and 8. That's his high in touchdowns. That's his high in yards. That's on a 17-game schedule. That's his low in interceptions. So 41, 13, 25 and 8. What's a breakout for Trevor Lawrence?
Probably around 4,400 yards, 30 touchdowns, probably 32 touchdowns, a couple interceptions. I would say a couple. Probably, I'm thinking like couple as in like, what you would think from a quarterback. I'd say 32 touchdowns, about 10 picks. And I would include also like having game-winning drives where, games that matter in October, November, like second half of the season where Jacksonville has to, where they're in the bubble, like conversations of making like the playoffs, where you're getting closer to Thanksgiving and Trevor's playing well. Because it's one thing to fill up a box score, but it's another thing to have the ball in your hands whenever you're trailing or the game is tied in the fourth quarter and you're making plays.
Yeah, I do think it's to some degree a feel thing, right, with Trevor. I think it's that late game thing that you mentioned with him, which is what he had in 2022 along with these numbers. But I do think it's got to be, for breakout season to come into play, I think it's got to be that 3-to-1 ratio on touchdown to interceptions again, but it needs to be with the touchdowns being above 30. Right. So I do think so it's 30 and 10, somewhere in that kind of range. So 32 and 11, that kind of thing. I think it would require that kind of season and pushing somewhere in that mid 4,400 to 4,500. It's not all that common for a quarterback in today's NFL. And we talked about this a few weeks ago when we were going through these kind of things with Trevor. It's not all that common for quarterbacks to do that kind of thing in the National Football League. But I do think that's what's required given what we've seen from Trevor for it to qualify as a breakout season. Brenton Strange, his career best year was last year, 44-11 with 2 touchdowns. What's the breakout?
I'd say I expect 600 yards this year, so I feel like a breakout would be closer to 900 yards, but the breakout more comes from tight ends on touchdowns. I'd say anything more than 7 would be a breakout season. Because if you get 5 or 6, okay, you probably have a couple of good games where you might get 2 touchdowns. I think anything over 7 touchdowns will be a breakout season for Brenton Strange.
Yeah, I think my expectations for a tight end in Liam Cohen's offense, given that, I think a breakout season is anything above 600 yards, pushing that 7 or 8 touchdown range. I do think that's the kind of numbers that you would have to be expecting to be calling it a breakout season. And then the guy who's already had a breakout season, what would a breakout to the breakout look like for Brian Thomas Jr.? His rookie year, 87 for 1,282 and 10 touchdowns. What's a breakout season for Brian Thomas Jr.?
Yeah, 1,282. I mean, if you're getting to 1,400, 1,500 yards, that's the elite. That's Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. I would say 1,400 yards would be the breakout, and then the touchdowns has to go toward, I guess, 13, 14 touchdowns, probably a little more. I mean, I feel like that was a really good rookie season. I mean, getting 100-plus catches, is the elite territory. It's just hard to say that, he's going to get so much better than what he did last year, even though that most of his production came in the month of December. Really, from 1 month after that, the first time they played Tennessee in the second half.
Yeah, and it should have been 11 touchdowns if Doug had just challenged that one. There in week 17 or week 18 last year for the Jags. If he had challenged that play, he would have been an 11 and holding another record for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But yeah, 87, 1,282, and 10. Breakout season for Brian Thomas Jr. I do think there is a real expectation, right, that Brian Thomas Jr. is right on the edge of the elite class of wide receivers in the league. After 1 year in the league, there's a real expectation that's where he is. I'm curious to see where he winds up on the ESPN top 10 list here in a couple days. Among wide receivers, among his peers, where's he already considered to be? But there's a real expectation that he could be an elite player. So when we start talking about, I don't know that an opportunity for a breakout season is going to be a whole lot clearer than it is right now, given the expectations on him, right? Despite the fact that he had the numbers he had last year at 87, 1,282, and 10. The talent and what we saw in his rookie year makes it not seem crazy, right? To talk about him being a guy that could catch well over 100 passes this year, even with the options in the offense getting better, right? Like could catch well over 100 passes this year, that he could be a guy that pushes well over that 1,500-yard mark, Right? Like, none of these things would surprise us. The touchdowns, as with all things with these kind of stats, specifically for receivers, I think that's the most volatile of these kind of stats. I think the best receivers in the game are always going to be in that they catch over 100, they go for around 15. The elite of the elite receivers, that's the kind of stuff they do. And the touchdowns are whatever they are, right? It's so opportunity dependent in a given season, so that's the toughest one for me to say this is what a breakout would look like in that regard. Because if he gets the double digits again, and he is a guy who caught 115 passes for 1,500 yards, I think, qualify that as another breakout season for Brian Thomas Jr. The question becomes, among those numbers that we just went through with all four of those guys, which do we think is the most likely? We'll take a look at the poll question and see how everyone voted in that, and we'll give our own vote and reasoning for it as we put a bow on this episode of Jaguars Today, coming up next here on 1010XL.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. From the preseason to the playoffs and every day in between.
Each man individually preparing himself to be the best he could possibly be. Better than he's ever been. Because that's what it's going to take.
At 1010XL, the season never ends.
Chelsea here. Summer is sizzling and so are the savings at Renewal by Anderson. For a limited time, buy 4 windows in our patio doors and receive the 5th free. Plus enjoy 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 18 months. As temperatures rise, so do energy bills. Upgrade to Renewal by Anderson's exclusive Fibrex windows. 2 times stronger than vinyl, remarkably energy efficient, and custom crafted to perfectly fit. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation today. Restrictions apply. License number CGC 1527613.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080. Right now, you may be running a little late, or feeling stressed, or overwhelmed, and you may be going a bit over the speed limit. So to help you relax, exhale. Ease up on the gas. You'll get there when you get there. Take a moment to just chill. This little break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
Dreamfinders Homes Monday on Jaguars Today.
Home is where your story begins. And at Donovan Darius Electric and Plumbing, we're here to make it the healthiest, most comfortable place it could be. Whether it's fresh, clean air, dependable plumbing, or reliable power, we take care of it all. From routine maintenance to state-of-the-art solutions, Donovan keeps your home running smoothly. Because at Donovan, we believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where your health meets comfort. Call Donovan Darius Electric and Plumbing at 904-270-COOL or visit us online. Let's make your home healthier, safer, and better together.
Summertime is busy with graduation parties, summer barbecues, festivities, family gatherings. The month of July, National Carpet Cleaning Month. So Zero Res is offering $45 per room of carpet clean and 20% off air duct cleaning services as well. Schedule your appointment at ZeroResJacksonville.com or call them 287-5727 and ask for the 1010XL special. Zero Res, spelled backwards or forwards, it spells the same. Zero Res.
Zero Res. From the windswept shores of the UK.
The greatest shot of his life.
Follow the Open Championship on 1010XL.
Look at those scenes coming down the 18.
Teed up by TopDressing.com and 904 Gutters with a Z.
If someone you love needs a pick-me-up, then it's time to get serious about it and send them a Kuhn floral arrangement. Max Fink here with 1010XL. You'll be assured of quality delivery, that's for sure. Log on and order online at KuhnFlowers.com.
Hey, Googans, Hicken here, and I just want to once again give you this very simple reminder. Wear sunscreen. If you're outside a lot, bring the screen. Put some in your truck, on your boat, in your golf bag, whatever, wherever, just use it. Please. It's hot out there, and I just want you to protect yourself. I use it like it's cool because I think it is, but what's not cool, that's skin cancer. You don't want to deal with that. Go get yourself checked out. It could save your life. Go to beachesdermatology.com and schedule your appointment today. That's beachesdermatology.com.
Hi, folks. Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Ever wonder what to do with leftover paint that you don't want? Here's a few options. Paint can be placed in the regular trash if it's dry. Simply stir in kitty litter to a thick consistency. Then wait a few days with the lid off till it dries. Also, if the paint is good, there's many charities or churches that would love to have it. If you'd like more tips or have a project, we'd love to help. Go to performance-painting.com. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting. Want your son or daughter to enjoy sports year-round? Then log on to I-9 Sports with fall and winter registration open right now, including girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows, plus plenty of other spots and sports on the First Coast. I9sports.com. Enter 1010 for a discount.
The SEC and the ACC will face off in Jacksonville at the 81st TaxSlayer Gator Bowl game December 27th at 7:30 p.m. Join us for Saturday night football in prime time at the bank. Preferred locations and pricing available now at TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys Locksmith Service.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 87.
Here to put a bow on a Monday edition of Jaguars Today. Had the opportunity this morning to talk with Donovan Darius and Mike DiRocco. Donovan doing the thing over at Duval Charter. And I do think it was interesting hearing, being able to talk to him about what we discussed a couple weeks ago with that idea of you could have one of these legends from Jaguars history to add to the team right now. What would that look like? And when we put out the poll, you remember, Dylan, we talked about it with Donovan. Like, how well would his game adapt? Like, would Donovan be allowed to be Donovan in today's game? And I thought it was interesting hearing, Double D talk about I'd have to adjust my game, but really it would just be how I finish plays would be what I would have to adjust. And we would see what that would look like. He's certainly the best safety in team history. I don't think there's much argument to be made in that regard at that position specifically. And it was such a weak position for this football team last year that it became an interesting discussion as far as which of those four positions you would want to bring in if you could bring them in for 1 year here on the Jaguars defense. We mentioned before the break we were going through what breakout seasons would look like for all four of the guys that we have in the Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. Today, question this morning, asking which of these players on the Jags offense is most likely to have a breakout season in 2025. Tank Bigsby, Trevor Lawrence, Brenton Strange, Brian Thomas Jr. Let's give our answers in the form of a 10-10 take.
10-10 take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran owned and operated.
I do think, having the discussion we just had, Dylan, kind of makes it clearer in my mind, right? Like which direction I want to go with the answer to the question of the day this morning. It's about you're kind of guessing at what kind of seasons any of these guys are going to have, right? And then you try to rank them basically on how likely you think those seasons are ultimately. And I think for me, talking about breakout seasons, I would go, my order would be Brenton Strange, Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., Tank Bigsby, based on the numbers that we just went through. And I think the Trevor Lawrence thing, my holdback on not putting him at number one on the list personally for me is those really are top of the league kind of numbers. He had a pretty good season in 2022, so it would require him to be one season where he is top 5 in the league basically across the board, right? And a bunch of these stats. I think he's capable of doing that kind of thing, but I don't think that's the most likely of the four outcomes for these players. I think Brenton Strange is a talented enough player that if they had to rely on him, and I've said this several times, if they got to a month of the season where they had to rely on him, like they had to do with Cade Otton for a month in Tampa last year, and he excelled, I think Strange is a talented enough player that expecting a season where he's going to wind up in that kind of 600-yard mark. And that 7 or 8 touchdowns, I think, is in play regardless of ever having to be featured, right, in the offense. I think he's a big enough body and an effective enough player in that part of the field that I think he can hit those kind of numbers. So that, for me, would be the order that I would go in. Britton Strange, Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr., Tank Bigsby. What about for you?
I have Brian Thomas Jr. number 1 easily for me. I wanted to say Trevor first, but just the numbers that I threw from last segment, I believe that Brian Thomas Jr. can do that, not with ease, because obviously it's a lot hard to do it your second go around. Like your first year around, it's your first year in your rookie year, it's okay, what can you do? And then now that you're going to your second year, now everybody has film on you. So it's one thing, when you're playing Sauce Gardner in your rookie season, yes, he already played whatever it was, 13, 14 games prior, but now you can sit an entire offseason and everybody can get film on you. And now, you are the main piece that everybody, builds around when they're building their game plan on defense. So I still think Brian Thomas Jr. is still going to be, can get all those goals, still get 1,300 yards and, 10-plus touchdowns. For number 2, for me, it'd be Trevor Lawrence. We had a question on the text line 10 minutes ago of Designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Does it, what did he say exactly?
Can BTJ have a breakout season if Trevor doesn't have a breakout?
I still think Brian Thomas Jr. can have a breakout season even if Trevor Lawrence has average numbers. Or if, like we saw last year, Trevor didn't play the second half of the season. He still produced pretty well. So I still think Brian Thomas Jr. can still exceed and have great numbers. So I have Brian Thomas Jr. 1, Trevor 2. I'll go Britton Strange 3, and then Tank at 4. I just think Britton Strange, if this were an offense when Liam Cohen valued tight ends, I would have it a little higher. But I just think he's going to have it like a Kate Otten season, 600 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns, and that'll be that.
Yeah, I think there's the touchdown possibility is why I have it as high on my list as I do, right? And again, it speaks to the talent that I believe is there with Britton Strange. I really believe that if they wanted to feature him in the offense all year, that if he was the guy that wound up with 900 yards and 8 touchdowns, it wouldn't surprise me all that much, but I don't think he's going to be featured that way, right? Like I don't expect him to be used that way in the offense. That's why I think for both of us, Tank is where he's at on that list, is because running back is where the most volatility of these 4 really lives. It's who is going to be the feature guy. How much are they going to be featured? It's hard to bet on anything with any of the running backs right at this point in the process as far as expectations for what it's going to be. We're all guessing as to who's going to be what, basically, in the Jaguars backfield at this point. It feels like, I think Frangie said it last week, that he thought Tank would be the guy that gets the first carry, right, for the football team, which I don't know. Like, I'm not even comfortable making that bet, right, on who's going to get the first carry. I could take a guess at who I think might get the first carry. If I had to guess at who's getting the first carry for the team week 1 against Carolina, I'd probably still say ETN.
Yeah, same here.
But I wouldn't say it all that convicted. It'd be like, I think. Like, it would be
the odds would be what? Like ETN 40%, Tank Bigsby, 30, and then would you have probably a slight chance for Tootin?
Yeah, I'd probably put the other 30 on Tootin.
Yeah,
right, like that kind of thing. I don't think Quentin Allen has much of a chance to get the first carry, right, of the season. I don't think that kind of thing is going to happen, and I do think the veteran presence of the other 2 guys makes it hard for me to imagine that it's not either ETN or Bigsby, right, being the first to get a carry this year. But if you were going to ask me which of the running backs has the most carries in week 1 against Carolina, like, that's even foggier to me, right? Like, I think the first carry is almost like a 50-50 thing in my mind between Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. I think who do I think will have the most carries in week 1? I don't know. I mean, if I had to guess, I guess I would lean towards ETN again in that, but the lean is so slight. Like, I don't even think I'd put any of the numbers at 40% in my mind on that kind of thing. Like, that does feel like a 30-39 kind of thing to me in my head. I don't know which direction I would want to go with who I thought might get the most carries in week 1. Just don't know. It's too volatile. Now, maybe that gets cleared up once we get into training camp next week and whatever usage they have for him in the preseason. But I don't, and I've said this all along too, I don't think it's going to be all that cleared up. I really don't. It's going to be what it's going to be with them in the backfield. And I've been very much on the hot hand train with this. And so I think early on against Carolina, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of give all 3 of their guys looks and they see how the offense is functioning with all 3 of them at different times in different situations. And then they decide, this is kind of the hot hand this week. And I think hot hand for the Jags week to week could be a guy that doesn't get any more than, 13 carries. And that's okay. Now, it's not going to help you much from a fantasy football standpoint. Guys only getting somewhere in that 12 or 13 carry range, but we'll see about that. What they're going to be dependent on for any kind of success they're going to have in the run game is obviously what they're going to be able to get out of the offensive line. And that's going to be the focus of the top 5 tomorrow, where I haven't figured out exactly what I want to do as far as the wording of this for tomorrow yet, but I know it's going to be about the offensive line, and it's going to be something like, how do you rank the current options on the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive line? Just a top 5 for rank them 5 to 1 as far as where do you have them on a list of these are the options they have. And so it'll be individual players, obviously, but it's basically, and I do think the order of the list tomorrow is going to be the more interesting part. Like, who do you have at 5 going to 1 on that list? I'll put that out a little bit later this afternoon so that people can officially send it in and have some time to think about how exactly they want to rank these things. But I do believe that's what we're going to go with on the Tuesday top 5. It's just how do you rank the top 5 options for the Jacksonville Jaguars on the offensive line going into training camp next week? As Mike DiRocco mentioned when he joined us, that is one of the big questions going into training camp next week, is exactly how the offensive line is going to work out. And it is weird that we're in a spot where I don't think anybody's expecting the Jags to suddenly turn into a top 10 offensive line unit. We're all just going, can we get back to the middle of the pack, please? And the offensive line rankings across the league. And we all feel like that would be a big improvement for the team. And we're not wrong. It would be a big improvement for the team if they could jump into the middle of the pack. Before we get to that and say goodbye, though, let's say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill on 1010XL.
Joe C. joining me here in studio for XL Primetime, making the move back to the middays.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
The lunch break crowd again.
Yep. The lunch bunch, as Hicken would like to describe us as.
Yeah, no doubt. What do you got coming up today on the show?
Matt is up in Atlanta with the SEC Media Days.
Nice.
So me and Big Sur are going to be here. Denny Thompson will drop by, the quarterback whisperer. And I tell you what, if you look at the SEC right now, Tony, and I know you're right, we're all in on the Diego party at Vanderbilt.
Yep.
But the whole list of quarterbacks that make up the SEC rosters, pretty impressive. You could be talking about a number of first-round draft picks, guys that will go to the top. Arch Manning, very obvious. Mm-hmm. Garrett Nussmeier, really good. Lenoris Sellers may be as good as any of them. Dynamic as all get out, leading South Carolina. So anyway, we're going to roll through some of those coaches, or excuse me, those quarterbacks, and then the coaches that are there today, Brian Kelly being one of the bigger ones. You're talking about a huge year and a big opener for Brian Kelly, Clemson versus LSU to kick things off. So there's going to be so much to dip our toe in with the SEC today.
Yeah, I can't imagine that Vanderbilt football will deliver for me this year what they did last year, right? They beat number 1 in the country in Bama when they did. I bought my dad, that's one of the Christmas presents I got him, was that T-shirt.
Beautiful.
Right?
Beautiful.
And when I gave it to him, he's like, yeah, I got to figure out how to wear this to golf, because apparently he's got a Bama friend that golfs with him, that kind of thing.
Buy a collar that he can staple to that T-shirt, and that way he can get away with the dress code.
Yeah, it had been a long time. It's been since Jay Cutler, at least, that it felt like week to week they had a chance.
Yeah, and the one thing about Clark Lee is he's bringing back a decent number of guys on defense, so they will be good again on that side of the ball. Pavia is fun, but you know what? If you put it out there, which he did, you got to make sure you can back it up.
Yeah.
And we'll find out what the doors can do.
Yeah, so you've talked to the audience of one when it comes to interest in Vanderbilt. So I appreciate it. We'll be watching for all the coverage there at SEC Media Days. As I mentioned at the top of the show, I'm a little bummed that it's Atlanta instead of Hoover.
Yeah. Oh,
you know,
I agree with what you said earlier. The only way we ever mentioned Hoover in our sports vocabulary was to say that's where the SEC media.
Yeah.
I was so happy for the SEC Media Days to move away from the Winfrey Hotel and the Galleria Mall, which was the only thing there in Hoover.
And it kind of kills the legendary story of Dempsey grabbing Nick Saban. You know, the one year when he was out there, he grabbed him and Nick was like, "Where do I go?" And he's like, "Follow me." And Dempsey just walked him over and sent him down. And all the Alabama media's like, "Why is he over there?"
Yeah.
It's like, well, our guy got him first.
You got to be crafty.
Right, like that kind of thing. That's what happens in Mobile. I don't know if it's going to happen as much in Atlanta.
No, much more organized, but we'll hopefully control the chaos a little bit later on today.
Sounds good. We'll be listening.
All right, Tony, thanks, bud.
As the coverage here on 1010XL of the SEC Media Days gets rolling here in just a couple of minutes. Matt Hayes up there in Atlanta. Frank Franchi going to be up there today as well. That'll do it for us here on Jaguars Today. So for Donovan Darius and Mike DiRocco, who joined us via the phone on the show today, for Dylan Denmark, for an on-assignment Mike Dempsey, I'm Tony Smith. I'll send out officially sometime this afternoon the top 5 for tomorrow. Is going to be the Jaguars' current options on the offensive line. Rank them 5 to 1. We'll make that our top 5 for the program tomorrow. XL Primetime is coming up next on 1010XL.
The Maxwell House Coffee will live on forever.
Mystery Man.